Hello, Taurus. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. Very interesting poll. Very interesting poll here. And I feel two different ways about this. So for some of you, this is going to be about needing to have questions answered in order for you to get out of the past and come back to the present moment. But then for others, I feel like even though you may have your answer or your questions answered, it's still going to be up to you to kind of like accept that truth and get out of this feeling of wanting to go back. So you can't go back to yesterday, be in the present, but why? Why? Why did something happen? Why did you experience this? Why did this person do this to you? All of these questions are what you are trying to seek answers to. But while this is happening, you're still stuck in the past and what has happened back then. But what's more important is for you to be in the present moment. But like I said, for some of you, it's like you need this. You need to have those answers before you can get back to the present moment and get out of, wanting to go back. All right, Taurus. Here is your overall, the Magician. Now, with the Magician being the overall, I have to have specific things show up with this in order for me to feel like it's going to have to do with manipulation. But really, the Magician is about manifesting that cool ass shit, manipulating matter, and making something manifest in your life, making something happen, but also feeling confident in your abilities to do that and feeling like you have what you need to manifest that cool ass shit, right? But we'll see here. Now, in the past, the Five of Swords. With the Five of Swords being the past, and it makes sense to me now looking back at the Oracle cards, just looking at these two. I think that you need to understand why somebody acted in the way that they did. Now, for some of you, you may want to go back and explain why. But the problem is that, I don't think that somebody else is really concerned with that. They could care less. Because I look at this and I look at how, this is happening here. This person sees that you are upset, but they don't really care. They're on the move. They're gone. They have gotten what they wanted out of this situation. We could be talking about fighting, extreme miscommunication here, somebody who is devaluing the way that you feel and what you think and what you have to say. With the Magician being the overall, though, right, like I've always said, if you can manifest bullshit, you can manifest something better. But you can't hold on to the responsibility of, I created this, Okay. Wow, man, Taurus. In the present moment, the Five of Pentacles. So definitely something that has gone wrong here that has made you feel lack. With the Five of Pentacles, I don't necessarily feel like this is going to be about money situations. For some of you, it could be being in a cutthroat work situation and then, feeling like you're at a loss here. But I also feel rejection. Completely being rejected, cast out, left on your own. And needing to kind of like pick yourself back up and move on here. And it makes me wonder if somebody hasn't gone out of their way to kind of like tear down your confidence almost. But we'll see here. Future conditions. Damn, Taurus. And again, right, general. And I should be saying this with all of them, even with the good ones. But, this isn't going to be for everybody. This is going to be for those of you who have been in an extremely tough situation that has left you empty-handed. And now your thoughts are putting you in a place where you are completely lacking confidence in your ability to create or manifest something better. I really do feel like a lot of you feel like you don't have what it takes to make something better happen. With the Nine of Swords, you know, it's you constantly going over and over in your mind what has happened. And you're just torturing yourself by doing this, you know? Man, oh man. Your best path to follow, you need to release yourself. You have to release yourself from it because it's not healthy from you, right? With the Devil, this is not a good situation for some of you. Yeah, this is going to be straight up mental abuse. And somebody who is like breaking you down or wanting to break you down. That's going to be for some of you. For others of you, you have had to leave a situation here empty-handed, and you're constantly like playing it over and over again in your mind. My God, if I could talk right. And with the Devil being there as your best path to follow, this is about getting rid of that unhealthy way of thinking, unhealthy attachments, anything that is going to keep you tied down. You know, all of this is no good. You know, but I look at that Magician and I think it's all about what you are creating in your life. You know, but you can't beat yourself up over things that, you know, you may have manifested in your life. We have to take responsibility for what we're creating, yes, but we can't control other people and what other people do. You know, in your environment. And this is where I feel like, you know, this is really trying to point out how bad the situation is and how unhealthy it is for you to try to continue to make things work in a situation where you are empty-handed. Now, for some of you, yes, again, you are leaving a situation here, but you don't have like anything. You feel like you have nothing and you're trying to figure things out. Now, on the other hand, some of you are being a little bit too flexible. And dealing with somebody who is not wanting you to know everything and not wanting you to be involved. You know, and for you, it's time to let that go. And I look at this and I think in terms of the past, I think that you believed that you had what was necessary here to, you know, keep things going, keep things in balance. But it's the same thing. It's the same situation that's happening over again. And where you're left in the present moment is like, I've been completely drained and depleted by this. Your hopes and your fears, the Six of Pentacles. Wowza. So, with the Six of Pentacles being hopes and fears, you know, this is wanting more equal give and take and at least hoping for that. You know, like I've given you everything that I possibly can and you're not getting anything in return. And the fear is that if you continue to do this, that is what's going to happen. Now, you know, the other thing that I'm getting from this is that you're only getting enough to like keep you in this like unhealthy position. One of the things that I talk about with the Five of Swords is a lot of times this is going to show somebody who is trying to keep you where they want you, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to do that. You know, and clearly here it's a really bad situation. Now, for some of you, if we're talking about a work situation here, I think that you are in a really, really difficult position. For some of you, you're not getting what you deserve. You're not receiving the amount of money that you should be. And you're trying to keep things in balance here, but your thoughts are leading you to this place of this isn't good, and you know it's not good, but what can you do? It almost feels like, well, what can I do about it? You know. But this is definitely something that you need to get yourself out of. You have to get yourself out of it because the Devil being there is very telling as far as how bad the situation is. You know, you have the ability to create whatever the hell you want. You know, if you can create bullshit, you can create something better. And then coming out the Three of Wands. And I like it, I do. But I worry about the attachment here to the Nine of Swords. So with the Three of Wands coming out here, it's you, waiting possibly here for an opportunity to act. Waiting for like an opening here, or waiting for something to happen or something to come to you, an opportunity that's going to let you take the next step. So I don't see it necessarily as a bad thing here, but I think that, there is more out there for you that you need to, be looking toward, because we're also talking about the long term here, and your thoughts may already be telling you that, this situation is not good. So the Hermit, and you're on your own. You're on your own here, but I think that for a lot of you, it was like needing to take a time out to kind of like think about things, thinking about, the bigger picture, doing the deeper soul searching, what is your star, right? I need separation from this. But for a lot of you, you're still very much in this place of trying to keep things going because of the relationship. The problem is that, we're not seeing eye to eye. And for some of you, yeah, it is going to be about you feeling isolated, for sure. But we're looking at the future here with the Three of Wands, expecting something better, or at least hoping that something better is coming. But I think that what you're waiting for here is for the situation to be corrected. Now, I look back at that with the Six of Pentacles and think for some of you, you're waiting for a bad situation to finally come to an end and justice to be served, so to speak, and somebody to be held accountable for their actions. Who else did I see this for? I can't remember, but it's a very much like the same type of feeling here. But once justice is served, even if we're talking about, a divorce here and dealing with like an estranged type of, relationship, or like this is my estranged husband or wife or whatever, and being separated here, when this happens with the Three of Wands, you're gonna have everything open to you. You're gonna be able to go, finally, I get to go ahead and move forward with other things, act on other things coming in. So I still see it as a good thing. I think that there's a lot of fear and anxiety surrounding this. But, with the Magician being there, I still feel good about it. I still feel like this is all about, you making this happen for yourself. You need to do this. You have to separate yourself from this situation. There's no point in continuing this, because this could be, like I said, straight up abusive. And for some of you, it may be about, finally getting, money coming through, looking at the Six of Pentacles, right? Getting what you finally deserve, what is fair, what is right. And again, like it's general. But I think that this is going to be significant for some of you, whether this is about a relationship where we're looking at divorce, a relationship where there's going to be a separation and somebody needs to be held accountable for something that they did very wrong, very, very wrong. Or if we're talking about a business partnership here, but I think that for a lot of you, it can be looked at as you waiting for karma to come back around, but you don't want to do that to yourself though either, because they have put you in this place where your thoughts are just constantly going back to the past experience where you were treated badly, very badly. And inner power, okay. In order to flourish, you have to pay attention to your intuition, pay attention to what your gut is telling you is the right thing to do and what you feel like Trust what your intuition is telling you, because that is your inner power here. That is what's going to open up to you being able to tap into your inner power. Trust what your intuition is telling you. Whew, man, Taurus. But I do like that flourish is showing up here. Because once you get out of this, things are going to be better. I almost look at this and I feel like instead of looking for answers or looking for justice to be served, you just need to, trust your intuition. Trust what you believe to be accurate for you. Trust what your gut is telling you. And in that way, you're going to be more in tune with your own inner power and your ability to walk away from this, right? Oh my goodness. And then overcoming obstacles. You can overcome anything. Fucking right. Narrow pathway though. You're going to have to stay on, the straight and narrow here. Things are going to be difficult for you, but again, you can overcome anything that is coming up here. But don't keep going back to what happened. You got to get out of that. You got to come back to the present moment, Trust that you already know why. But man, oh man, I still feel really good though about the Three of Wands coming out, because once this situation is like finalized, so to speak, things are open to you in a beautiful way, but your thoughts need to get out of, what has happened, right? Like, I can't stress that enough here. And definitely you need to kind of release yourself from those negative thoughts too with the Devil. There's no point in replaying that over and over and over again. You're on a pathway that is not something that a lot of people want to go through. But again, right, like, you can overcome all of this. And everything will be corrected in the end.